Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripatam Aham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Okay, reading from we're reading from Canto 5, Chapter 11, Text 1. we don't have anything, right? You have mobile, you can check it. Canto 5, chapter 11, text 1. 5.11.1. 5.11.1 Srimad Bhagavatam. Brahmana uvacha akovida kovida vada vadan vadasi ato nati vidam vashta na suryo hi vyavaharan enam tattva avamarsena sahamananti. Brahmana uvacha akovida kovida vada vadan akovida kovida vada vadan vadasyato nati vadam varishta vadasyato nati vidam varishta nasuryayo hi vyavaharamenam nasurayo hi vyavaharamenam tadvavamarasena sahamananti tadvavamarasena sahamananti. Brahmana uvacha akovida kovida vada vadan vadasyato nati vidam varishta nasurayo hi vyavaharamem enam tatvavamarasena sahamananti. Brahmana uvacha akovida kovida vada vadan vadasyato nati vidam varishta nasurayo hi vyavaharamenam tatvavamarasena sahamananti. Brahmana uvacha akovida kovida vada vadan vadasyato nati vidam varishta nasurayo hi vyavaharamenam tatvavamarasena sahamananti. Would you like to read? Thanks, bro. Akovida kovida vada vadan vadasyato nati vidam varishta nasurayo hi vyavaharamenam natvarasena sahamananti. Brahmana uvacha अकोविद कोविदवादवादान् वदस्यतो नातिविदं वरिष्ठा न सूरयो हि व्यवहारमेनां तत्त्वावमर्शेन सह मनन्ति ब्राह्मण उवाच अकोविद कोविदवादवादान् वदस्यतो नातिविदां वरिष्ठा न शूरयो हि व्यवहारमेनां तत्त्वावमर्शेन सह मनन्ति ब्राह्मण उवाच अकोविद कोविदवादवादान् वदस्यतो नातिविदं वरिष्ठा न शूरयो हि व्यवहारमेनां तत्त्वावमर्शेन सह मनन्ति. What word meaning? Brahmana uvacha. The Brahmana said, Akovida, without having experience. Kovida vada vadan, words used by experienced persons. Vadasi, you are speaking. Ato, therefore. Na, not. Ati vidam, of those who are very experienced. Varishta, the most important. Na, not. Surayaha, such intelligent persons. He, indeed. Vyavaharam, mundane and social behavior. Enam, this. Tattva, of the truth. Avamarshena, fine judgment by intelligence. Saha, with. Amananti, discuss. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The Brahmana Jadabharata said, My dear king, although you are not at all experienced, you are trying to speak like a very experienced man. Consequently, you cannot be considered an experienced person. An experienced person does not speak the way you are speaking about the relationship between a master and a servant, or about material pains and pleasures. These are simply external activities. Any advanced experienced man, considering the absolute truth, does not talk in this way. We'll read again. The Brahmana Jadabharata said, My dear king, although you are not at all experienced, you are trying to speak like a very experienced person. Consequently, you cannot be considered an experienced person. An experienced person does not speak the way you are speaking about the relationship between a master and a servant, or about material pains and pleasures. These are simply external activities. Any advanced, experienced man, considering the absolute truth, does not talk in this way. Purport. Krishna similarly chastised Arjuna, Ashochayan anvachochasvam prajnavadamscha bhashase. While speaking learned words, you are lamenting for what is not worthy of grief. Bhagavad Gita 2.11. Similarly, Among people in general, 99.9% try to talk like experienced advisors, but they are actually devoid of spiritual knowledge and are therefore like inexperienced children speaking nonsensically. Consequently, their words cannot be given any importance. One has to learn from Krishna or his devotees. If one speaks on the basis of this experience, that is, on the basis of the spiritual knowledge, one's words are valuable. At the present moment, the entire world is full of foolish people. Bhagavad Gita, therefore, Bhagavad Gita describes these people as mudas. They are trying to rule human society, but because they are devoid of spiritual knowledge, the entire world is a chaotic condition. To be realized from these miserable conditions, one has to become Krishna conscious and take lessons from an exalted personality like Jadabharata, Lord Krishna, and Kapiladev. That is the only way to solve the problems of material life. Om Tat Sat. Om Jnanaatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalitan Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavana Ishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So happy to have you all here on a Sunday morning Bhagavatam class, late morning Bhagavatam class. So there were two Bhagavatam classes, one for youth and one for not youth. Oops. Right. Reading from section where Jadabharata is instructing King Rahuguna. So this is an amazing section in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We see how wonderful instructions from Rishabhadev to Bharata Maharaj. Then Bharata Maharaj has challenges practicing devotional service. He is born as a deer and then he is born as a Jadabharata, and he happens to encounter King Rahuguna, whose soldiers ask Jadabharata to carry the palanquin of the king, and then Jadabharata does not want to stamp over the ants which were on the way, and he heaps and makes jerks in the palanquin which creates discomfort to King Rahuguna. And then King Rahuguna gets down the palanquin. He chastises Jadabharata for unable to even carry the palanquin, having developed a stout body. So kind of some criticism went on from King Rahuguna to Jadabharata. After hearing all these things, King Jadabharata gave some small response. And after getting that small response, King Rahuguna could understand that I'm not talking to an ordinary person. And then he started inquiring Jadabharata about his identity and about his experiences and all those things. And then this whole chapter is where King Jadabharata actually explains to King Rahuguna about the importance of life and spiritual life and other things. So we could see here that Brahmana Vacha, the Jadabharata spoke. So Jadabharata was appearing to be like a Jada, like a mad person materially. He was not very well dressed up, or he was not really cared for even by his own parents. He was fed with all what you call rotten food, and he was happily eating all this whatever was given to him by the Lord's arrangement. He was happily accepting it, and his materially he was well taken care by the mercy of the Lord, though he was eating all rotten foods, rotten things, not a so-called very in civilized life or whatever, right? So but Jadabharata was able to maintain his body, and he was spiritually so absorbed that he did not want to do the mistake that he did as King Bharata, where he developed attachment for a deer and he actually lost track. He had to take a few other births, and then he came here. He was remembering all of that, and he was a little cautious in his life that not to make mistakes in this life, right? And so that cautious and what you call like little reserved life, spiritually reserved life, was not in syncing with the community, and he was like sidelined by the whole community as a Jada, as a inner what do you call like what do you call as Jada in English? Inert, right? Yeah, so one who is not so much getting involved, one who is not getting so much socializing, not mingling properly. And such kind of person was like sidelined by the whole community, and he was actually treated differently by the whole community. Though he had nice, well-built body and all those things, he was like Jadabharata was very unconnected or disconnected completely from the materialistic society, and he was absorbed and very well connected with the Supreme Lord. He was practicing all his spiritual lives internally, not so much to the extent that others appreciated, not expecting appreciation from others, not expecting to impress others. He was actually practicing his spiritual life, knowing that spiritual life is my own personal journey. It is not meant to please others. It is meant to establish my connection with the Supreme Lord. What I missed in my previous life, I want to make sure I get it in this life. He was quite focused, quite determined, and he was walking towards his way. And King Rahuguna happened to come across, and some exchanges happened with King Rahuguna, and we are here where Jadabharata is trying to instruct King Rahuguna. And the first instruction, almost a series of questions that King Rahuguna actually asks to Jadabharata, and almost the first answer, just like Prabhupada quotes in the from Bhagavad Gita, that how Arjuna was chastised first. You are talking like a learned person, but a learned person does not talk like you, right? What does it mean? It means that Arjuna was a fool, right? It is indirectly, like in I don't know, in there are some grammatical sentences, right? It appears to be as if they are praising one, but they are actually scolding, right? Chastising, right? So it is something like that, where Krishna appears to be speaking as if like he is praising Arjuna. You are speaking like a learned person, but a learned person does not speak like you. So kind of. So the similar thing is being spoken by Jadabharata. You are speaking like an experienced person, but an experienced person does not speak like you, right? The similar terms. Or Jadabharata is saying, Rahuguna, that you are not an experienced person. You are really a fool. You are not so much experienced. Don't talk like as if you know everything. And Prabhupada says in the purport, he says like, oftentimes in this materialistic world, material world, everybody talk as if like they are so advanced and experienced, right? That's how they call it. They call themselves as, in technical terms, you call it, they think themselves as subject matter experts, SME, That's what we call in technical terms, right? So everybody thinks they are experts. They are very qualified. They can actually be a consultant, and it's all actually there to make big money, right? That's all. It's all actually a money game. What is happening outside? Everybody is trying to cheat other and make some money, right? I know, like in my office, there are some very hot issues going on, and even my manager, he said, first thing he said, should we get a consultant from outside? so anyway, I like, for many business and political reasons, they actually want to do it. But it all ends up to be like, we know, as a technical person, we all know, saying that it's eyewash, right? It's basically people take money, they take millions of money, and then they don't give any output. That's how consultants work generally. Like, they behave as if like they know everything. In the same way, King Jada Bharata is saying to King Rahuguna, saying that you are talking as if you are a very experienced person, but you are not. Right? So Jada Bharata here actually is a person who is representing a devotee of a Lord. And we need to learn from here in this whole section is like how Jada Bharata dealt with King Rahuguna. Right? There are a lot of very nice lessons that we can actually learn from how Jada Bharata interacted with Rahuguna, how he dealt with, how he actually taught him all those things. A lot of good lessons that we can actually learn from here. We could see first thing that Jada Bharata, what he was not the first one to talk. Right? Generally, a person wants to always keep talking. Like Prabhupada keeps saying that a toad keeps croaking. What for? The snake to come and gulp him. Right? So a spiritually advanced person, a matured spiritual person, he generally doesn't keep talking a lot. That's one of the first instruction of Rupa Goswami, Nectar of Instruction. Vacho Vega. There is a Vega. The Vega, there is an urge to always speak. As soon as you be in an association or you be in some group, the tendency is that I want to actually share what I want to share. That's the tendency. The tendency is I want to actually talk. There is an urge that comes from inside. There's a pushing. That's what Rupa Goswami, he calls it as Vega or urge, the pushing. Right? There is a prompting. There is a like strong inside force that actually comes from inside to talk. Right? That's everybody wants to show, saying that as if I know things, I have learned things, I have experienced it. I want to actually go and share. I want to go and actually advise others. I want to actually go and instruct others. That's the kind of nature everybody actually has. That tendency to go and actually talk and advise somebody. You know something, the moment we advise somebody, right, we are actually passing on all our good karma to them. And then if they don't follow our instruction, we take some of the bad karma of them. Right? It is very easy to actually advise. The more we tend to talk, the more we advise, the more we exchange karmas. Right? That's why a spiritually advanced person, that's the first thing he does. Vacho Vega. Tolerate the urge to speak. The more we can stop speaking, the more better it is. Right? That's why Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he also says that of all what is it says? Silence is the best thing. Of what silence is best? I forgot. Maunam. He talks about it. Anybody remembers? Anybody quickly refer Bhagavad Gita? Of what silence is best? Come on. Scratch your head. Nice exercise. Right, that's a specific thing I wanted to actually know. Of what silence is best, Krishna actually says. Like so many things Krishna actually compares there. And for one thing, he actually says silence is best. Anybody could catch it? Come on.
Among secrets, I am silence.
Among secrets, I am silence. Right? So that's what Krishna actually says, that among secrets, I am silence. So silence is something not easy to actually do. The tendency is there to always keep talking. Right? So when somebody gets more and more experience in this material world, they actually tend to talk more and more. That's the nature. The more a person gets experience in this material world, they think they are superior. They think they are experienced. They think they know things. They think they can actually share that with others. They think that actually I know things, I can actually help them out. That's what everybody actually thinks. But as a person advances spiritually, then he thinks that let me keep quiet. So Jadabharata did not speak anything to King Rahuguna. He was pulled in to lift the palanquin and he supported. But he didn't compromise on his principles. That's one other thing that we need to learn. Though Jadabharata was actually engaged in some other service, he never compromised on his principle. He was not ready to actually stamp over the ants and walk. He doesn't want to actually take part in injecting pain to another living entity. Right? So, compromising on our principles for others' sake, that Jadabharata did not do. So, what we can learn from here is we need to be actually, as a practicing devotee, we have principles and spiritual principles which we work upon, like following 4 regulative principles, chanting the japa of the Supreme Lord. We don't compromise in the basic principles for anything of this material world. We have to be steadfast in following the basic principles that we need to actually follow. That is something Jadabharata was also doing it. He was not compromising on that part. Right? So after that steadfast behavior of Jadabharata was creating disturbances to King Rahuguna. It was creating disturbances to him. Right? So in the same way, when we start practicing devotional service of the Supreme Lord, sometimes it may catch the notice of others. They may actually see us as somebody, wow, what this person is doing. He seems to be a mad person, crazy person. So they start actually looking at devotees as somebody who is crazy. Right? But the devotee keeps practicing his devotional service without any disturbance. He keeps practicing it. And after a while, after the other person actually keeps seeing the devotee, they are steadfast, they are determined, they are very focused in what they are doing, the other person's eyes actually opens up with admiration. And then they actually start making inquiry, just like how Rahuguna did. Right? It typically happens in our life also. When we start practicing Krishna consciousness, we generally try to actually do. And all our family members, all our relatives, all our friends, they all actually see us as if like something has changed in this person. Somebody had brainwashed him. Somebody had actually did something to him, kind of, whatever. That's how our whole friend circle, our relatives, everybody actually keeps talking. In fact, some people actually, our own relatives might be actually enforcing us not to do all these things. Be normal. Why are you behaving abnormal? Right? They think we are abnormal and they are normal. But we think we are normal, they are abnormal. That's the problem here. Right? Somebody who is practicing devotional service, Krishna says they are normal. Right? But they are actually abnormal. Having been abnormal so long, they are not able to accept normal. Right? Just like how Indra became a hog and he was so accustomed there, so much so that when Brahma came to come back, he was not ready to come back. He was thinking that is normal. Right? So that has become the situation where the whole world is going in one direction. If you stand up and then look ahead and then look different, people actually see. They see you and they may even call you as crazy person. Right? When during proper times, like when devotees were actually wearing dhoti kurta and then they were actually wearing sari, there were many commentaries in United States where people used to say that they were wearing bed sheets. They were wearing bed sheets around their body and they were dancing in the street. That's what they used to call. They didn't know dhoti and kurta and all those things, sari. Right? So that's what they are calling. So for them it is abnormal. Devotees were looking abnormal. Right? Initially that kind of stage will come in every devotee's life where when we start practicing devotional service, we may be looking as an abnormal person for others. But as a devotee, we should continue our practices steadfast. We should not actually give up. We should continue our practices steadfast, and then eventually people will start looking at us saying that, wow, this person seems to be very dedicated. He is doing something very, very involved in whatever he is doing it. They may start admiring us later. How many of you have experienced this in your circle? How many of you experienced this? Right? I'm quite sure many of you would have. Right? When you're in your initial days, when you start practicing, everybody will look at you different, and after some time, they will actually start admiring you. They will see the transformation in you. They will see all the good qualities that you have got after trying to become a devotee. They will admire all these things, and they will get inspired by looking at you. So that will happen. So that was happening with King Rahuguna. He was actually seeing but Jadabharata, and he was getting absorbed so much. He was seeing so much of vibrations that Jadabharata was actually having it, and he was expressing it. And then King Rahuguna could understand, saying that he is not a bhikari who was in the street. He seems to be like a very advanced person. Then he started making inquiries to him. He was willing to hear from him. Right? So all that actually happened with King Jadabharata because he was actually dealing with King Rahuguna in a way that a devotee deals with the other person. So the character, the quality in which King Jadabharata approached King Rahuguna, the Rahuguna was getting impressed more and more. He was able to get into the heart of King Rahuguna, and he was able to influence that person. So that is exactly what devotees needs to do, in fact. We as a practicing devotee, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says very clearly that first we need to practice it in our life, and then we should actually try to influence others. Right? The first thing is we devotees, we have to practice it ourselves. We have to practice it in such a way that our character, our behavior, our dealings, our qualities will actually go and influence the other person. Right? Just like as they say that children actually learn looking at the dealings of the parents, not looking at the words of the parents. How the parents actually behave, they actually imitate that in the same way. Right? So in the same way, as practicing devotees, we should actually start practicing good qualities of a devotee. If we see the good qualities of a devotee, Krishna speaks the whole of Bhagavad Gita about devotees' qualities. So nicely, Krishna speaks. Even Arjuna asks a question in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita that how does a devotee walk? How does a devotee talk? How does a transcendental person actually behave himself, deal himself in this material world? And then Krishna starts speaking, Prajahati yada kaman sar. What's that verse? Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmani eva atmana tushta sthita pragyas tadochyate santushta satatam yogi. No, not that. What's the next verse? Anybody? Okay, fine. So Krishna actually speaks in series about how a transcendental person behaves, how a person who is advanced spiritually behaves in this material world. So when we read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, if we are really reading it properly, we have to absorb all those instructions that the Lord is actually giving there. We need to actually get ourselves absorbed. You found that verse, Rao? Yeah, dukkeshu anudvigdamana sukeshu vigataspruha vitaraga bayakroda stitadir muniruchyate. What's the next verse? Shubha Shubham Nadveshti Tasya Pragya Pratishtita. Right. So Krishna speaks in a good series of what a character of a devotee is. What should be the character? How should a devotee actually deal in this material world? In fact, that whole section talks about how does a devotee deal in this material world. Because Krishna actually spoke about something completely transcendental. But that transcendental person is now in the material world. And how he is actually dealing with all these material things. And Arjuna wanted to know how he talks, how he walks, how he deals with people, all those things. Krishna says that though he is there in this material world, he has to do so many things, he is still not attached. He is neither attached to anything, nor he becomes elated for with so much of happiness. Dukkeshu anudvigdamana. He doesn't become so disappointed when something bad happens. Dukkeshu anudvignamana. Sukeshu vigata spriha. He doesn't get so elated when something great happens. Vitaraga bhaya krodha. Sthitadir muniruchate. Like such a person will be in sthita. He will be well situated, steady. Krishna talks about. Though he is in material world where there is full of disturbances only. Material world means only disturbances. That's why it is compared to as Bhava Sagara. Ocean is never stable, never still. Ocean water is always ups, downs. That's what will happen, ocean water. Always there will be some or the other thing happening in this material world. Something or the other will happen which will make you either go up in happiness or may put down in depression. That's what material world is all about. Ups, downs. But that will not change. Material world means that's what it will be. But how much you are getting influenced by that? That is the question here. Krishna is not saying that material world for a devotee, all the material life will be all stable. No. Even in a devotee comes in the material world, their life will also have ups and downs. But the devotee internally is stable. He neither becomes too elated with happiness nor becomes too distressed when bad things happen. That's how a devotee actually takes. Anything comes in front of him, he accepts that as a mercy of the Lord. If this is want, let it happen. If this is what Lord wants me to go through, let it so happen. That's how he deals with. If something good happens, he says, thank you, Lord. If something bad happens, still he says, thank you, Lord. Right? Not that he scolds the Lord. Oh, Krishna, why did you do this to me? I am chanting 16 rounds every day, your name. I am following 4 regulative principles. Look, I am putting Vaishnava Tilaka, Dhoti, Kurta, Sari, Vaishnava dress. I am reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, going to ISKCON center every day. Still problems are there. Why did you give me all these things? He doesn't talk like that. Right? In Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, we could actually see like what kind of turbulences devotees go through. Right? Only problems of devotees are given in Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Correct or wrong? What kind of problems Arjuna went through? What kind of problems Parikshit Maharaj went through? What kind of problems Prahlad Maharaj went through? Dhruva Maharaj went through? Any devotee you take, Narada Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, everybody went through problems only. Nobody had a peaceful life. Anybody has a peaceful life in Bhagavatam? Name at least one person who had a peaceful life in Bhagavatam. Then how can you expect that your life will become peaceful after getting associated with Krishna? That's a completely wrong expectation. Expectation itself is wrong. That's why we are getting disappointed. Sukadeva Goswami was a transcendental person. Yeah. He was peaceful, yes, I agree. Right.
Coming from mother's womb, he was also.
Yeah, as a Sukha, he had to run. He was chased by Lord Shiva. That's not there in Bhagavatam. Okay, right. So that's how life will be. Right? Life is not going to be very peaceful as long as a person is there in material world. Nobody can expect a peaceful life. But how we are dealing the situations that we are going through in this material life, that makes somebody a devotee and a non-devotee. Somebody becomes a devotee if they deal the situation through the eyes of the scriptures. They deal it properly. They don't get so much hyped when things actually happen. They deal it properly, kind of. That makes a big difference. Right? That makes a big difference. And that is what Krishna is actually talking about. That's why even king is getting chastised here, saying that you are talking as if like you are an experienced person, but you are not really an experienced person. Because you are not able to really see a difference between a master and a servant, or a person who is undergoing material pains and pleasure. You are not able to actually really see things properly. So that is an experience that a person gets by reading all the scriptures, by associating with devotees, by being in the association of all this spiritually advanced person. They actually imbibe all those qualities in them. And those qualities, when it are actually exhibited at right situation, at right time, the right dealings that a devotee actually makes with others, that actually sets a person, a devotee, apart from a normal materialistic person. A normal materialistic person, they actually react based on the impulses given to them. You give a situation, you can predict how a person will actually react. Yes or no? Many of you would have experienced this. You know how to provoke a person very easily. Kids actually know very well. They are experts. Now I know some parents, they come and actually say, whenever my son is caught red-handed doing faulty, he knows how to actually make fight between father and mother. And he escapes in the middle. They are very expert in doing that. Right? So they somehow talk in a way that they make fight between father and mother, and their problem goes away. Father and mother ends up fighting, and the child actually escapes nicely. Right? So they are, all of us know to some extent, saying that how and when a person gets provoked. We know to some extent. But the more important thing is we have to examine ourselves and see when we are getting provoked. That we may not examine so much. When is I am getting really provoked? If somebody talks to me like this, see, look, you are actually getting provoked. You are being conquered by anger. Anger is conquering you. You are talking something which is not in your control. Right? So those are some things we need to actually see here. How am I dealing with the material world? How am I dealing with people here around? And those dealings actually differentiate us. Very much they differentiate us from a non-devotee. That is what we need to learn here. So Jadabharata was actually showing this by his own experience. By his own character, he was actually teaching Rahuguna there. So much that Rahuguna was getting admired by Jadabharata, and he started inquiring. He wanted to learn. He was such an elevated person. He was a king, materially, so to say. But he came down his palanquin and he actually absorbed this person, and he wanted to actually learn from that person. So that kind of atmosphere we can create it within our circle. In our circle, as a devotee, as a practicing devotee, when we practice things nicely, when we make our dealings with others nicely, our dealings, our character will influence others, and they will come to us for sure. It will influence them. Right? At least, though Kali Yuga has progressed so far, 5,000 years has progressed, still 4,32,000 years of Kali Yuga is still there. Still people of Kali Yuga today, they are still having little bit of piety in their heart. They are still open enough to actually learn, open enough to actually absorb some good things from others. That is still there here. It is not fully lost. The very reason why our ISKCON Whitefield is actually nicely flourishing, growing, that itself is a sign saying that we have a lot of pious people around. It's a very nice sign. And we have a lot of opportunity to preach still. It is still not a so demoniac place that devotees cannot stay here. No. If we behave, if we deal with the outside people nicely, then we will be able to influence them. They will also become nice devotees eventually. Right? The more greater preaching is by behavior, not by speaking. Anybody can actually speak. But being an example and showing to others, that is actually a greater form of preaching than speaking. That is very important that we devotees actually be setting a good example when we deal with outsiders, when we deal with non-devotees, and more even dealing with other devotees. Setting some good character, good qualities, good dealings with other devotees is actually very, very important. We actually we influence the whole community here. That's why even materialistic people actually say that if you ever want to make a change, first change yourself. They also say, materialistic people also say that. Right? Change comes from within. Change starts from at home. They say that. If you want to influence the whole world, first you change. You change your behavior, you change your character. That will influence your family. Then your family's influence will actually influence your neighbors, your friends, your relatives. All that actually will influence if we actually practice. And spiritual life is all about our practice. Material life is all about going and instructing others and exchanging karma. But spiritual life is to actually practice it for ourselves and change ourselves. That's what spiritual life is meant for. It is to make the change internally. It is to make a change in us. We are here to actually change ourselves, not others. So Jadabharata, by his quality of dealing with King Rahuguna, he was able to influence him. And he was able to preach to him. Right? And the first preaching, what he says is that you are a fool. You are a fool. That's what he's actually saying. Right? And King Rahuguna accepted it. Right? He didn't actually fight back. He accepted it. That's another quality that we need to learn. If somebody actually says something wrong to us, about us, we need to first take that. Whether we take corrective actions for that or not, that is second step. If somebody speaks something wrong to us, first not react to us that. As soon as somebody says you are a fool, I am not fool, you are fool. We should not actually react like that. Right? We should actually first, okay, they are saying me fool. There should be some reason behind why they are actually saying it to us, saying that to us. There should be some reason, because nobody is really a fully fool. Everybody has some amount of intelligence, so to say. They have seen something which appears to be wrong in their eyes. And because of that, they are actually saying that. Let's try to hear what is their justification that they have. We will hear from them. After hearing from them, we should actually examine with the spiritual intelligence that we have got. Okay, they are saying me that I am a fool. Okay, that's fine. If that is being considered as a fool even by Krishna, even by Guru, even by Acharyas or not. If that is even being considered as a foolish activity even by the Lord, even by good devotees, even by Prabhupada and all those based on the scriptural teachings, then it is for us to actually make a change in ourselves. But if the Lord sees it little differently, devotees see it differently, Acharyas see it differently, then we may have to just say thank you and then keep them happy, set it aside, keep going forward. That's a nice way of dealing things. There is one nice verse in the 7th canto of Bhagavatam. If somebody can pick it and read it, it will be great. Where that nice verse actually it says, I kind of vaguely remember the translation of it. I don't remember the sloka. I think it is 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Where it actually says, if somebody comes and gives you advice, tries to actually teach you, especially your relatives and all those others, you say, yes, what you have said is very good. I take your point. I know you have said something very nice. I take your point. But internally, we don't make any compromise in what we wanted to do, and we keep doing what we wanted to do. That's how we need to deal with this material world. Anybody knows what this verse is? It's a nice translation that actually comes. If we read the verse, then the translation actually is very befitting here. So, if somebody find it, please, I will let's know. You can read that. So, more important when we deal with others is not to actually say you are wrong, I am correct, or I am wrong, you are correct. It's just to have a patient hearing of what they are saying. We should patiently hear what they say, and then later it is up to us to actually accept or not to accept. If it is something good we need to change, we accept, we change. If something that is not good, we don't need to change because it is not really a change that is needed to please Guru and Krishna, we don't really change. But we may have a patient hearing of others so that they are happy. Okay, you're happy now. You told what you want to tell. Okay, nice. Thank you. I'll go my way now. Thank you. That's how a devotee deals things. It is not that you told me all these things. How can you tell me this? I am there in this movement for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I am such a great devotee. How can you actually tell all these things to me? I am giving Bhagavad Gita class. I am leading a Bhakti Vriksha. I am giving Bhagavatam class. I am leading Kirtan. I am such a glorious Kirtan leader. All those things are not needed. It is not needed. We are not here to actually show how great we are to somebody else. We are here to practice our Krishna consciousness in a way so that Krishna becomes pleased. Krishna becomes pleased with us. Prabhupada becomes pleased with us. That's why we are practicing this. If Krishna becomes pleased, Prabhupada becomes pleased with us, it is actually good enough for us. If devotees, other Vaishnavas are actually happy with our service, with our dealing, we should actually be very happy. We are not here to impress others, get good name from others. Just like how children, they try to take good name. They try to impress their teachers and all those things. Right? So we are not here to actually impress others. We are here to actually impress the Supreme Lord. And how we can impress the Supreme Lord? By doing nice service to Him. So we will do all nice service, engaging our body, engaging our mind. We will do nice service. At the same time, we will not expect any recognition, credit for that. If somebody comes and credits for it, recognizes that, thanks that, glorifies our service, still we actually say, I am just doing my service to please Guru and Krishna. If I could do something nice, thank you very much. If there is any mistakes, let me know. I will try to improve myself. Try to keep it down to earth. Be humble, kind of. That will actually take us a long way. In the morning we were discussing with few devotees about how Kunti Maharani actually says that Janma Ishwarya Shruta Shrivi Edamana Madhav Puman. She talks about how a person becomes mad thinking that he is so great. Thinking that I am born in a great family, I have grown so much of intelligence, I have so much of wealth, I have so much of beauty and all those things. Those all things makes a person mad. Thinking that he is great. And because he thinks he is great, he cannot actually develop love for Krishna. So we have to actually make sure what we need in our life, prioritize what we need in our life. If our priority in our life is mainly to actually please Guru and Krishna, we simply go ahead serving. Even in the midst of all the difficulties, challenges, we keep serving. We will keep going forward without stopping for anything of the external situations. We don't wait for external situations to change. We will keep going forward only for the sake of Guru and Krishna's pleasure. I will keep doing it. Even if the whole world stands against me, I will keep doing it. I will not stop for anything. That's how a devotee needs to be. That's why Dhruva Maharaj is glorified today. Because of his determination. He was determined to actually see the Supreme Lord. And he was ready to take up all kinds of difficulties and austerities for the sake of seeing the Supreme Lord. That's why he is glorious. He is spoken about in Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? He is glorious because he was very determined. His name itself means determination. Dhruva means determined. One who is very determined. A devotee means he should be determined. Right? So, Jadabharata is actually trying to instruct Rahuguna, and he calls Rahuguna as a fool, and Rahuguna accepted it, that he is a fool. He had no retaliation for what he said. Arjuna accepted Krishna's chastisement. He didn't actually retaliate for what he heard from Krishna. He accepted it. And he started asking more and more inquiries, more and more questions. for him to actually change. So spiritual life is all about that. Here we are here to actually change ourselves. We hear from other devotees, we hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, hear from Bhagavad Gita, hear from Prabhupada, hear from Vaishnavas, and then absorb good qualities of what is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, of other devotees. In their association, we actually learn and put that in practice in ourselves. If we don't put that in practice in our own life, we will keep hearing the same instructions again and again and again, and it will become as if like Krishna consciousness is so boring. Because we are not putting that in practice. Everything that we learn, if we don't put that in practice, we will not advance further. If we really want to advance, then we have to put things in application. Okay, today I have learned this, what can I actually do? How can I actually apply that? What changes can I actually bring in? We have to take some steps. Every moment we actually take some steps for advancing, then we actually make progress. Otherwise, we don't make progress. To make progress, we have to apply things. That's more important. Right? If we want to change, then we have to change today. You want to change your future, you have to change today. That even outside people keep saying it. So what change we are going to bring in today? We have to make some sacrifices for our spiritual advancement. Spiritual life means sacrifices. Just like how a mother sacrifices her comfort for the sake of child. Sacrifice is part of even material life. Then why do we think saying sacrifice is not part of spiritual life? Tolerance, sacrifice, patience, all those things are part of spiritual life. Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dairya, Tattat Karma Pravartanat, Sangatyaga, Tat Sato Vrishte, Satbir Bhaktir Prasidhyati. Right? Utsaha, approaching with great enthusiasm. Like even if nobody else chants in the Kirtana, we should actually loudly chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We should chant enthusiastically. And if we chant enthusiastically, then others will get influenced. They will also scream for the help of the Lord. Kirtan is all about screaming for the help of the Lord. You're actually chanting loudly for asking for the Lord's help. I need your help. I need your help. Right? So whenever we enthusiastically participate in things, the enthusiasm of the whole community will also become influenced. So it's all a question about us. Even if a speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam gives a so-called, as per your calculation, gives a not so good class, we can still become enthusiastic even in that class also. It is up to us, kind of. Spiritual life is up to us. Whether we want to get inspired or we want to actually go down and put everybody down. If we become inspired, enthused, and we actually practice it nicely, looking at you, others will also become enthusiastic. And looking at others, you will also become enthusiastic. That's how it actually grows. Spiritual life is all about looking at good things of others and learning it. Just like Bhagavatam, Prabhupada gives an example of a mosquito or of a what you call like this one, housefly, and then of a honeybee. A mosquito goes and sits on others, it sucks others' blood. It only knows to actually sucks other bloods. Right? And a housefly goes and sits in a filthy place. Though there are so many nice things around, there are still goes and sits in a filthy place. Or the comparison is also made that of a crow and a swan. A crow always goes to a garbage and then eats things in garbage. And then a honeybee goes to a flower and takes the nectar from it. It doesn't go and sit anywhere and eat anything. Or a swan goes to a nice clean lake and then swims there. right? Option is with us how we want to actually deal with things. Whether we want to be a mosquito kind of a devotee, go and sit in the association and then squeeze others' blood, give pain to others, or we can go in a, though being in an association of devotee, you come there in association and you keep talking about, oh, see this devotee, see that devotee, see this Mataji, see this Prabhuji, and then you can keep gossiping like that all the time. That's like a housefly. Though so many good things are there, they only see at only the bad things. They only see the bad things and then they sit on that bad thing and they chew and then chew, eat that rasa. And they find so much nectarian in that rasa. Or we can be a honeybee where though so many bad things are there, we just go sit in the flower and then drink the nectar there. What kind of devotee we want to be, it is up to us. And all kinds of people are there in this world. Even in ISKCON, even in our own devotee society, all kinds of people are there whom you want to get inspired from, whom you want to actually associate with. You want to be with honeybees or you want to be with housefly? That's up to you. You have to make carefully choose your association and carefully change your character. It is up to us, right? It is not like what do you call, like everybody who comes to ISKCON, they are all pure Vaishnavas. No, everybody here is actually trying to practice, and while in the course of practice, everybody is struggling here. Is there anybody who is not struggling to chant your 16 rounds of japa? Anybody here who are like doing fantastic japa every day? In all the mantra that I am chanting, I am actually asking the Lord for devotional service. How many of you here are doing that? Right? So we accept saying all of us are diseased people. We all of us are diseased people. We all of us have our own problems. So how can we expect some pure quality appearing like he is a pure spirit soul and they will actually exhibit all pure good qualities here? That doesn't happen. Everybody have problem, but Krishna knows what is their problem and Krishna accepts them. What is your problem in that? If Krishna is ready to accept some other devotee, he is welcoming them, he is accepting them. Why can't you accept? Krishna is accepting all of us. Can you say Krishna is not accepting you? In the same way, Krishna is accepting others also. We all of us have so many faults. Despite that, Krishna is actually accepting us. Krishna is actually keeping us in this association. We are still able to chant His holy name. We are still able to eat prasadam, still able to associate with devotees. If we get that opportunity, why shouldn't that opportunity be given to others? They may have so many bad qualities, still Krishna is accepting them. So we should also learn to accept. That's the quality of a honeybee. A honeybee, though other devotees have so many bad qualities, they go and look at the good quality of others and learn that from them. That is honeybee. They see only good qualities of others and they learn that. Right? So I was just remembering one nice story of Lauren and Lottie. We heard of this in our childhood and all. Many of you might be remembering. Laurel was once having a nice coat, right? The coat had a lot of small, lot of black patches in it. And then is that my phone? Okay, no. So the Lottie actually asked him, saying that why this blue patch in your coat? It is very odd from all the other black patches in your coat. Then Laurel actually said, saying that is the only part of the original coat. Rest all are all patches. Rest all are all patches of black color and all those things. This blue color is the only original coat of it. Right? So that we need to actually be something like, this devotee has this one nice good quality. He may have thousands of bad qualities, right? This one good quality of that devotee, that is actually so inspiring me. Let me be associated with that and learn that quality. Right? We associate with other devotees and learn good qualities from them. So they may have 1,000 bad qualities, still doesn't keeping all those aside. This devotee has this nice quality, let me associate with him. He chants nice, though he is like behaving like a rowdy, he still chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He still participates, he does some service for Prabhupada's movement. So we should actually see good qualities in others and learn whatever others' good qualities have. So that is how a devotee we should actually become. When we become nice, good devotees filled with good character, good quality, good dealings with others, that will naturally influence other people. That is the greatest form of preaching. Right? That is the greatest form of preaching. Like now book marathon is actually coming up. Right? We are all going to the streets and we will all distribute Bhagavad Gitas, so that others also get an opportunity to get connected with this glorious movement. Let others also start their Krishna conscious journey. With that intention, we go in the streets and we will be requesting everybody to actually take Prabhupada's books, requesting everybody to take Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Krishna book, Science of Self-Realization, take this book, we'll be pushing at them. Right? And many times we may actually face very difficult reactions from others. Sometimes we may get very welcoming reactions, and sometimes we may get a very threatening reactions. And how we are going to deal with all those situations, right? It makes a big influence. Like we were just discussing this in another group of devotees, that one Mataji, she was actually in different countries, she was actually distributing Prabhupada's books in a metro, and one elderly person, he actually plucked the book from that Mataji's hand, he tore that apart and then put that on the ground, stamped over it, and then he insulted that Mataji, and then he went off, right? Somehow he picked all those stamped one, he went off took his home, he dumped that in one place and went off. And that the servant maid in that home, she thought, saying that the book got torn, she fixed all those books nicely, made it as a book properly, and she kept that in the shelf. So this person eventually lost all his family members, everybody, and then he was like all alone, left. Then finally he actually saw this book, he picked that book, he started reading that book, and then he ended up going to temple, he became a devotee there. And later on saw that Mataji also, whom he had offended, he begged forgiveness. So all that actually happened. Right? Sankirtan is always like, it's a mystery how things actually happened. How a person actually becomes a devotee. There's a saying that every sinner has a future and every saint has a past. Right? Every sinner has a future and every saint has a past. Every devotee has a past in his life, how he became a devotee. And every sinner has a future. And because Krishna is very merciful, everybody is a child of the Lord, and Lord is ready to accept everybody. Just like a parents, they don't neglect any children. All of them are important for them. Right? So, every saint has a past as well. And every sinner has a future. So, we are here to actually go take this book, present it to somebody, and Krishna will actually influence them. We are just acting as a nimitta here, acting as an instrument. We will go and make opportunity for the Lord to influence in their life. That's what we are doing. So we should do our role as a nimitta, as an instrument. We go and deliver it as a postman, and it is up to the Lord to actually influence them and then change their life. And Krishna has a one-to-one connection with everybody. He has a one-to-one connection with everybody, and he influences everybody, every person's life, he influences them. Just like the Lord is actually sitting in our heart and he is actually giving directions, promptings to us from inside. Yes or no? And the Lord is present in everybody's heart. And he may go and influence other person to actually go take this book. He'll be prompted by the Lord. We just need to stand there and then showcase that book. And the Lord will prompt them from inside, and they will come and purchase the book. And Lord will prompt them to learn, and all these things will actually happen. Right? So we just become a nimitta there. We just stand there, speak to them why you should actually take this book, see this book. We are not, Srila Prabhupada has translated all these books without any adulteration, without any masala. All 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita is there. You can see there's nice pictures, there is pictorial representation. We just try to push the book as much as we can, and the Lord will influence their heart. So we do what we need to do. That's all. The rest of them, it is up to the interest of the Lord. Krishna willing, we may be successful in book distribution by distributing many books. Or if Krishna willing, we may be successful in book distribution by not distributing in 0 book, even 1 book. Right? It is up to the Lord. But all that matters is our endeavor. Are we actually going and standing there and being part of this book distribution marathon or not? We just need to go and participate. Participation is more important. Result is not more important. We put our hard endeavor to show the book to everybody. And then request everybody to actually take this book, because it is going to save them, save their family, save somebody. Right? So we just present it, and we just actually push it. We just actually request them, please take it, please take it. Right? And we present ourselves in such a way so that they become attracted, just like how Jada Bharata presented himself. We present it in a way that actually attracts them. Right? We go in a nice Vaishnava attire. We just have nice Vaishnava tilaka, pray to the Lord saying, let me be an instrument. Let me engage in your devotional service. I want to actually please Srila Prabhupada. For Prabhupada's sake, I'll go out for book distribution, even in so much of odds, so much of difficulties. Let me go and do that. Let me actually try to please him. So with that humble attitude, we actually go. And we try to actually influence others. We try to distribute Prabhupada's books. And some of them may take Prabhupada's books. Some of them may become devotees. And we actually get credits for all these things. We get credit for all these things. And if some of them become nice, pure devotees of the Lord, we get credit for that. Prabhupada calls that as Devi Sampat. Wealth that we are gaining. Spiritual wealth that we are gaining. Every time we chant the holy name of the Lord, every time we do devotional services, every time we read Prabhupada's books, we start gaining more and more spiritual wealth. Devi Sampat. We become Lakshadipati, Karorpati, millionaire, billionaire, all that. It is not material money, it is spiritual wealth. So the more we engage ourselves honestly, sincerely, with nice attitude, with nice qualities, dealings, we go and present this Krishna consciousness to others, we practice it to ourselves, we become more and more wealthy here. And we will be able to attract the eyes of the Lord. That's why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually is saying that don't be in a hurry to go and see the Lord. Do such a nice devotional service so that the Lord will come and see you. That is what we need to actually keep in mind. Right? When we go to temple, it is not that we take darshan of the Lord. It is for Lord to actually see us. If the Lord actually sees us, then that is His mercy upon us. That's what is real devotional service is. Devotional service is very, very practical thing. It is to engage our body, mind and senses in practical devotional service of the Lord. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. We engage our senses in the pleasure of Lord's senses. That is what bhakti is. Bhakti is all in full of activity. Bhakti is dynamic, not static. Bhakti is not an imaginary meditation. Bhakti is all about service, activity, physical engagement. That is what bhakti is. So we need to be engaged. We need to use our time in the service of the Lord. If we don't use our time in the service of the Lord, it will be used elsewhere, which is a problem for us. Because the more you use your time elsewhere, the more you actually accumulate sin. Any activity which is away from Krishna consciousness is a sinful activity. And the more we commit sinful activity in material world, the more it is difficult for us to actually progress in devotional service. Normally, you do anything in material world, it is a sinful activity, so to say. Our scriptures talk about 5 great sinful things that a grahastha actually does. Right? You cook, that is sinful thing. Right? You cook in the house, right? Everybody has to cook in the house, that's a sin. Because you are killing so much of germs. You rub your body, that's a sin. So many germs get killed by that. Rubbing, itching. Right? If you read Prabhupada's book, Prabhupada has actually given all these 5 kinds of sinful activity. If you read all those 5 kinds of sinful activity, you cannot escape from doing sinful activity in your life. Nobody can escape from it. The only way somebody can actually not commit sinful activity is when they do spiritual activity. You do spiritual Krishna conscious activity, then you will not commit sinful activity. So if we are not doing Krishna conscious activity, which means that we are committing sinful activities. And the more we keep doing sinful activities, the more it is a problem for our spiritual life. The more we have to again keep taking birth after birth after birth in this material world. How many of you like to take another birth here? I know nobody wants to raise the hand. How many of you are ready to go to Goloka Vrindavan today? I'm saying, are you ready? Are you qualified? Do you deserve? Do you deserve to go to spiritual world? Will Krishna accept you? Are you doing devotional service in a way that Krishna will actually accept you? Right? We are like somewhere in between. We are neither here nor there today. Right? But we need to make progress. That's the most essential thing. We may not be there, but we need to make progress. So it is up to you to ensure, are you making progress or not? It is up to you to ensure about yourself. Just like there is a saying that a pilot is there, right? A pilot who takes the aeroplane up in the sky. All his training will be actually given in the ground. They will have nice simulator equipment. They will actually make him learn how to fly the plane in different conditions. All training, classes, teaching, everything will be actually given in the ground. But once he goes to the sky, it is up to him. It is up to him, kind of. There, no training will be given. Probably some senior pilot will be there, junior pilot may be there. He may be learning some things in that course. But teachings are really given in the ground level. And once the takeoff happens, it is up to him. He has to actually manage the situation there. So in the same way, some training will be given to all of us in the beginning days of Krishna consciousness. And then the takeoff actually happens after that. After the takeoff, it is your spiritual life is in your hands. Either you can spoil it or you can actually take it forward. It's all in your hands. Whether you do, how you are actually dealing things in your spiritual life, how you are taking it forward, it is all up to us. If you want, even in the very bad situation, you can actually become a pure devotee. Just like Prahlad Maharaj. Then Prahlad Maharaj had a nice ISKCON center. He went there, heard Bhagavatam class. So he was among with whom? All of them are demons in this group. Anybody was there a devotee with Prahlad Maharaj's group? So you can become either a devotee even in that situation, or you can become a devotee in a nice ISKCON center also. But everything is up to us. It is within our hands. If we want, we can become a pure devotee. If we don't want, you can never become a pure devotee. Forget about pure devotee. You can never become a devotee also. Right? It's all up to us, kind of. So our spiritual life is in our hands. You can either make it or spoil it. Right? So if that's similar kind of instruction Jada Bharata is giving here. It is up to us kind of. Whether you can showcase yourself as a great, advanced, experienced person here, or listen to other devotees, learn from other devotees, always be a student in the spiritual life and learn from others, and then keep advancing slowly, so that one day we may become a 20% devotee or a 30% devotee, a 50% devotee, and then the Lord will fill the rest and then still accept us. That's what Damodar Leela is all about, right? There is endeavor and there is mercy, 2 fingers short. So with our endeavor, we become a 30%, 40%, 50%, 70% devotee. And then by the mercy of the Lord, we become 100% and get accepted. So with our endeavor, we should at least become that 30, 40, 50% devotee. That is in our hands. For sure. We cannot complain anybody else. You cannot complain saying that, oh, my family members not supporting me, my husband not supporting, my wife not supporting, my children's not supporting. I am associated with ISKCON Whitefield where there is no pure devotee at all. If you want, you can keep complaining all the time and you can be in material world. Or you can make use of whatever is available and then you keep progressing here. And you keep influencing your association there. Right? It's all within us. So spiritual life is in our hands. If we chant the Maha Mantra properly, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You chant properly, the Lord will actually give the help what we need. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Holy name can actually fulfill all the desires. It is a Chintamani stone. So what we are asking while we are chanting makes it different. Are we really asking for pure devotional service of the Lord while we are chanting? Or are we interested in some gossips? Think about why this devotee, that devotee, all these things. That's called as spiritual nonsense. Right? We can keep doing spiritual nonsense. It may appear to be like a spiritual life, but it's all nonsense inside spiritual life. Right? All this gossip, this, that, and all these things. So it's whether we want to do spiritual nonsense or we want to become a good sadhaka. That's a question here. All right, I'll stop here. It's almost 1.5 hours. Okay, sorry. Yes, this is the sloka. An intelligent person in human society should make his own program of activities very simple. If there are suggestions from friends, children, parents, brothers, or anyone else, he should externally agree saying, yes, that is all right. But internally, he should be determined not to create a cumbersome life in which the purpose of life will not be fulfilled. Right? Very nice sentence. This is how we need to deal with the material world. This is from Canto 7, Chapter 14, Text 6. 7:14:6. Ideal family life. Right? Now you should know how to deal with your husband, wife, children and all. When they say yes, you are correct. But you should have your own program. I am not saying this, Bhagavatam is saying this. All right, any comments, questions before we wind up? Sorry, Prabhu?
I did not understand the last thing what you said. I'm not able to catch.
You are married? Okay. So the sloka actually saying that when somebody actually says something to you, don't say no and fight with them. It is useless to fight with somebody. Say yes, you are correct. But then you should have your own internal program. You need to know what is really good for your life from Shastras, from devotees, from Acharyas. And then you should keep proceeding that way. Internally, we should have a journey, and externally, we should have a life.
You understand English? Yes. So I understand that. Suno sabki karo khud. This is the life. खुद की मतलब Yeah, what he's telling, like he's telling in detail, I'm telling in
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Yes, bro.
In this chapter, the last shloka is there. So Ravana is quoting him as like Dhira, like Lord Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
I
Quoting Jadabharata.
no
Ah.
himself.
Okay.
He is telling that I'm like a Dhira,
Mhm.
like Lord Shiva.
Okay.
But,
Mhm.
but he is
This chapter or the previous chapter?
same chapter, last verse.
Okay, I need to read. Okay, hold on. Many things in Bhagavatam are like very contextual. We need to understand the context and then we need to learn from that. Should I read the translation or purport? You remember?
In translation,
Okay, let me read the translation. Let's see if we can understand the context. King Parikshit Maharaj then told Sukadev Goswami, is that the one? Is it Parikshit Maharaj saying to Sukadev Goswami? You remember the sloka?
Like 5:11. Yes, 5:11.
We are at 5:11:1.
I think this chapter was last verse.
The last verse, if you want, I'll read it. King Parikshit then told Sukadev Goswami, my dear Lord, O great devotee sage, you are omniscient. You have very nicely described the position of the conditioned soul who is compared with a merchant in the forest. For these instructions, from these instructions, intelligent men can understand that the senses of a person in the bodily consumption are like rogues and thieves in the forest, and one's wife and children are like jackals